What's up, everybody? Thank you once again for tuning in to another episode of Healing Through Transparency, Broken Men. Sad to say, this is the last episode of this series. Um, God haven't gave me any other word yet until when we're gonna do another one of these, but I'll definitely let you guys know. But to close this out, I wanted to talk about where I'm at today, but in a different way. I want to actually bring in professionals and people with actual, not to say actual experience, like I don't have the actual experiences, but just more experience than I have, to help me really explain what the difference is between healing and restoration. And so, yeah, I'm excited. I can't wait to start the conversation. I got my special guest here, my brother. Jeff is in the building. God plus therapy. I wish I had some sound effects. But I'm gonna just clap it up. Salute, brother. Yeah, man. Glad to have you, bro. How are you?
Doing well, man. Doing awesome, man. It's good to be here, man. Thank you for definitely giving me the opportunity to be on your platform. That's a huge blessing. I'm humbled by it, bro.
Wow, appreciate you, brother. That's definitely humble, man. Thank you. I'm honored to have you. So yeah, man. Tell the people a little bit about yourself for those that don't know you.
Okay, yeah. For those who don't know me, my name is Jeff. I am the manager. I'm not the CEO. God is definitely the CEO of God Plus Therapy. I'm grateful that God chose me as the vessel to push this message across. And basically, what the message is for those individuals who are tired of hearing, just pray about your mental illness or your mental depression or your clinical depression or your fear or your anxiety or whatever it is that you're dealing with. A lot of people would say, "Hey, just pray about it. Just pray about it," and that's legit hiding behind the spiritual aspect or the religion, hiding those emotions behind that. And God is not calling us to do that. He's calling us to be faithful, of course, but He's also calling us to put work to that faith, and that's where the therapy comes in. When you're sitting down with someone like myself, I am a licensed counselor, substance abuse counselor. I'm currently working in a inpatient facility at the time right now. I also do intensive and in-home counseling here in Richmond, Virginia. I've been doing this for about 8 plus years. For 13 years before that, I was a probation officer. Um, I did just leave 2 years at a local methadone clinic where I was dealing with opiate addiction, people who are dealing with opiate addictions, as well as mental health as they're going along their recovery journey. So that's that part of me. Education wise, I went to Virginia Commonwealth, ran track there. Majored in criminal justice in my BA. My master's is at Liberty University with counseling, so I have the education there. But again, God plus therapy doesn't say just put any that form of therapy where you're sitting down on the couch talking to someone such as myself, and we're talking about your past. Therapy comes in many different forms. It can be retail therapy. It can be yoga therapy. It can be meditation. It could be you sitting around the bonfire with your boys talking about the NBA playoffs. You taking a girls trip to Dubai and you guys are just hanging around eating going to brunch. Brunch is a therapy. Nap is a therapy. You're in the kitchen with your significant other baking cupcakes is a therapy, is a form of therapy. The key to it though is which one is providing peace at that moment. Where are you getting that peace from right now? God is always telling us, hey, look, I created a whole beach for you. Why aren't you utilizing that? Why aren't you going to the beach and just sitting in my presence? Because we know that's where we find the undefining peace, the unbreakable peace, the unshakable peace is only in His presence. So that's what God plus therapy is. You have the faith plus the works equals evidence, and that evidence is going to give you a stronger faith for your next adversity that you need to overcome. That's me in a nutshell.
Man, that's fire, bro. That's one of the best introductions I've heard in a while. I'm not gonna lie to you, that was dope. Yeah, man, I do see you be posting about like different aspects of therapy, and that's powerful. I never actually saw therapy that until you actually posted it, so that's kudos to you, man.
It's crazy because a lot of people will think, "Oh, I need to go to therapy, and I just need to sit down with someone like myself," and
Right? Yeah.
that's not the case. Especially if you're not comfortable yet. If you're not comfortable with sitting
Right.
down with a counselor, therapist, you can use those forms of therapy, such as, like I say, retail therapy, tea therapy, or just going down, laying down, and taking a nap. That's a form of therapy.
Wow. Wow. So I have a question about that, right? So I never been to a therapist, so I don't know like the process how it's like, but I guess my idea of therapy would be like most people. So you talk about the couches and the conversations. um so how does that look like? How do you not make it feel that way for the people that you counsel?
Oh man. So here's one thing I advise people. First of all, do the same advice that I would give you if we were in college and you came to me and said, "Hey, I want to join one of the Divine Nine." And what would I tell you? Do your research. Just don't pick one just because everybody else is going to be a Kappa or everybody's going to be a Q or a Delta or whatever. Do your research of what you want to fit comfortable with you. Do your research. Every counselor, therapist, psychiatrist, they will have a bio of things that they believe in, certain things they do on the side, as far as like extracurricular activities, some things that they believe in, as far as religion wise. Do your research so you can feel more comfortable when you walk in. But here's another key thing that people don't think about when it comes to counseling and therapy. You don't just have to go to them when you are dealing with adversity. Say you're about to have a child. That's a blessing. Go to them to celebrate that. Say you're about to get married. Say you just got a job. Go to a counselor. Find a counselor when things are going well. So here's what happens when you do that. When you're going there, you're feeling comfortable with them. You're building a rapport with them. And so
Mm.
then it's going to be easier for you when adversity does come, when the enemy comes knocking, or when the enemy tries to steal, kill, and destroy. It's going to be a lot easier for you because you have already built that rapport with them. For me personally, with my patients and my clients, the first thing I do, I don't want to talk about issues right now. The first day, I don't want to talk about what you're coming to see me for. I don't want to talk about your adversities. I don't want to talk about your struggles. I want to talk about what makes you happy. What brings you peace? What's your
Mm.
joy in your life? What wakes you up in the morning? We get that out first. We get that thing out so that people feel comfortable with me. And then I go into my own personal story so that you know I'm not coming from just a book. I'm coming from personal experiences as well. By the time
Right.
I finish that first session, the rapport and the atmosphere is going to be peaceful. It's going to
Mm.
be warm. It's going to be opening. It's going to be welcoming so that you feel comfortable to discuss and talk about whatever it is that you came to sit down and talk to me about in the next session.
Yeah, man. Wow, that's powerful, bro. Um, so now my next question, right? Because you talk about like having, for example, nap could be a form of therapy.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So maybe I don't understand what therapy means. So I feel like being therapy and having doing therapy, you need to have some type of counsel, right? You need to
Mm-hmm.
have some type of person to control the atmosphere, as you say.
Mm-hmm.
Um, so how do you? So how do you? So for example, I'm taking a nap and that's form of therapy. What? How do I prevent myself from procrastination? Or like, because I can't
Mm-hmm.
control myself if I'm broken. So who do I go to?
Good. So now you're touching in the age old conversation of self care versus self sabotage.
Mm.
Before you do any type of therapy, right? Before you even go into any type of therapy, you need to start practicing some mindfulness so that you create a high self aware of who you are. Okay. But once you create that consciousness of who you are, then you're able to be able to say, okay, self care versus self sabotage. This is what self care versus self sabotage looks like. All right.
Mm.
If I know for a fact that I struggle with spending money, if I know for a fact that I don't have a sound budget, a budget that's standing on a solid foundation. If I know for a fact that that's it, and that's what I struggle with, then I don't need to mess with retail therapy. Retail therapy is not going to work. If I struggle with alcoholism, then wine tasting is not a form of therapy for me. That's a self sabotage.
Mm.
And we have to be honest with ourselves before we
Yeah.
even walk into any form of therapy. You have to be honest with yourself. If you struggle with procrastination, then nap therapy is not what you want to mess with, which is why it's so many different forms of therapy because
Mm.
there's self sabotage and then there's self care. If you're struggling with procrastination, then maybe you should go to the beach with your journal and write out your schedule.
Yeah.
And so now you will have a structured day of playing ahead of you. You have to be real with yourself. If you're not going to be real with yourself, I don't care what type of therapy that you use, you're not going to find what you're looking for. And the one thing that we're all looking for is peace of mind. That's all we're
Yeah.
looking for. No matter, regardless of whatever it is that you're struggling with. Maybe you're struggling with a abusive relationship. You want a peace of mind of that. Maybe you're struggling with unemployment. You want a peace of mind. The reason we're so excited that this pandemic looks like it's coming to an end is because we're now having a peace of mind. Or you weren't able
Yeah.
to find a peace of mind during the pandemic when we were smack dab in the middle of it. Peace of mind is what we're all looking for, which is why God has created so many different forms of therapy because we all cultivate peace of mind in different ways and different forms.
Yeah, man, that's so good, bro. That's so good. Self sabotage
Self
or self
sabotage,
care.
that thing real. If I got an
Yeah.
attitude problem, I don't need to be watching. I don't need to be listening to NWA.
Facts. For real, for real. Yeah, man. Wow. Yeah. So good, man. So why do you? I've noticed this though, at least. A lot of people tend to choose coaches more than therapists.
Mm.
Why do you feel that might be? Why are they more
So
attracted to coaches?
a lot of times people use coaches because they're not, so therapists and counselors are going to use those intervention words, so therapeutic words. And a lot of times people will start off with a coach
Mm.
because they want to get comfortable with the whole mindset of dealing with mental health issues or their trauma. And so basically what a coach is someone to walk with you, just kind of walking with you, helping you out, kind of giving you advice on how
Yeah.
to get through things, right?
Mm.
Once you get to that therapist level and the counseling level and the psychiatrist level, now you're dealing with interventions.
Mm.
You're gonna have homework assignments. You're gonna have things like, okay, I need to practice this instead of practicing that. You're gonna be doing things like identifying stressors, identifying triggers, getting to the core of your issue. Whereas coaches says, okay, well, I'm gonna go sit with you at the coffee shop with you, pour it on me. I can listen to you, and I can say, well, this is what I would do. Versus your counselor and the therapist are going to say, well, let's sit down and identify stressors. Let's create a strategy to help you effectively communicate your thoughts and feelings. You see the different terminology that I'm
Yeah.
using, where versus a
Yeah.
life coach would say, yo, let's just sit down and talk about it.
Mm.
Tell me what's going on. Well, I remember when I was going through that. Oh, I had an uncle who went through that, and this is what they did. And so it's kind of like it's more personal, kind of. And
Yeah.
I love coaches because coaches open up the door for counselors to maneuver and do their thing and use those
Mm.
terminology, those interventions. So that's a big difference between those two.
That's good. So it sounds like what you're saying. Just to simplify it, I guess. Like there's a difference between counseling, than giving advice.
Mm-hmm. Oh yeah, big
Okay.
difference. Yeah, big difference. Giving
Okay.
advice, your barber gives advice, your beautician gives advice,
Yeah.
your mother gives you advice. That's
Right.
advice. There's the things that you don't really. I mean, it can work, it cannot work. When you're doing inventions, you're doing work. You're putting work into it. You're
Yeah.
seeing the pros and cons as you move along with each different session. Your life coach, you just pick them up and go. Like, I'm gonna call my coach today. I ain't worried about my coach today. With
Mm.
counselors and therapists, you actually have sessions. You're doing something in between sessions where you can see the growth. And then you're gonna have kind of like wraparound services, meaning like after everything is done, you start seeing the growth and seeing the levels and the steps that you're going through. When you're done with a counselor or a therapist, you're gonna look back at your process and say, I'm completely different than I was when I first started. When you're with a life coach, yeah, it feels good. It's good to hear someone walking with you, but most of the time, you're not gonna be able to look back and see a progress. It's just mostly someone walking with you and being with you as you're going through the fight while you're in the fight.
That's good, bro. That's really good. Thank you for answering that.
Yeah,
Um, and so my next question is, did you or do you have a therapist currently?
I definitely went through counseling. I definitely went to therapist. I was not therapist, but I went through therapy. I went through it after my divorce because that's when I found myself in the worst place of my life. I mean, you heard my story
Mm.
before, where
Yeah.
I was literally in the high levels of isolation. When I say high levels, I wouldn't talk to my mother. I wouldn't talk to my brother, my friends, frat brothers. Like, I would literally just sit in the house in the dark, laying on the couch with a bottle of Hennessy every single day. And then on Friday and Saturday, have two of them. Because it was the weekend. I had nothing to do that during the weekend. And this was during, of course, during Orange is the New Black when that first came out. I would watch that on my
Mm.
phone
Yeah.
and literally lay in the dark and sit in the dark. High levels of anxiety, high levels of depression, feeling down on myself, thinking that I've disappointed my father, my family, my legacy, my last name because of this divorce, my son because of this divorce.
Wow.
I felt guilt and shame heavily. So of course, I definitely went through therapy and in-depth therapy. I found my triggers. I found my issues. I found traces of alcoholism within my family. So I definitely went through. Now, so this is what I do now. I kind of trick the
Mm.
system. You're gonna laugh about this. I can't personally go to a counselor, especially if and I don't want to sound condescending or cocky right now, but
Mm.
especially if I have more credentials than you. because then I'm going to critique you. But what I do though, this is what I do. I have a lot of friends who are doctors who
Mm,
are on a higher level than me. I have clinicians as friends. I have one of my good friends. She's helping me get my next license, my next two license, right? And so
mm.
what I would do is I would call them and say, "Hey, let me pick your brain." And then they would laugh and say, "Jeff, I know what you're doing. I know what you're doing right now. And I'm about to send you an invoice." And then I say, "What? What you mean? Like, you need to go get your own counselor, Jeff." But I'm like, "Y'all know me. Y'all know how I think. I can't just walk into any old counselor's office." And that's
Right.
my self-awareness. I know that's my how I know myself. I know eventually I'll start talking to him, but eventually I will start critiquing you and say, I wouldn't have said that. I wouldn't have done that. I can't watch a lot of fix my life because I sit there and like, I wouldn't have did that. I wouldn't have
Yeah.
said that. And so what I'll
Yeah.
do is I'll call my psychiatrist friends or my doctor friends, and I say, "Hey guys, this is what I'm dealing with. Help me break this down." And then they'll help me break my emotions down, break the triggers, and get to the core of it. Because even though I'm a counselor, I'm still human. Even though I'm
Yeah.
a man of God, I'm still human. I still make mistakes, and I still
Yeah.
battle with demons.
Yeah. Yeah. So good, man. So my next question is, as a therapist, what's your definition of healing and restoration?
Okay, watch this. If you're trying to restore yourself to the person you were before you got hurt, you're trying to recover. That's restoration. You're restoring yourself to the person you were before you got hurt. If you're ready to shed your old ways, your old self, and become something entirely new, now you're ready to heal. So restoring looks like, and recovery looks like you are going back to the person you were before you got hurt. Restoration looks like I want to be completely different. I'm restoring. God is in the business of not restoring. I'm sorry, healing. God's in the business of healing us. So that's why we are completely different when we come out of the water. All right. Recovery means you're trying to go back to where you were before. Healing looks like this. I'm admitting that the job is slowly killing me. Right. That's what healing looks like. You're saying that out loud. You're acknowledging that so that you can make some decisions to change yourself. So you're not the same person. That's what healing looks like versus recovery.
That's good. That's good, bro. Um, and so have you
You froze a little bit. You froze a little bit. You back.
oh, yeah, sorry,
You good.
perform in any of your clients' lives? Like, have you seen the healing and restoration process?
Yes. I want to make sure I heard you back because we're breaking up a little bit. You asked me, have I seen the healing process in some of my clients?
Yeah, so I was saying, have you experienced it personally, and then have you also seen it in the lives of the people you counsel?
I can do you three. I can do you one better. I can do you three ways of. I can show you in the Bible how someone was restored and healed at the same time. I can
Yeah.
show you be transparently how I was restored and healed at the same time. So
Hmm.
if you remember hearing that story, I told you about the alcoholism, right?
Yeah.
I was restored at one point. I just
Hmm.
wanted to get back to the point where I was the person I was before, right? And so
Yeah.
what happened was I addressed it, talked about it, we fixed it. It was we got to the triggers, we got to the core of it. I even went a period where I wasn't drinking anymore, but I fell back into the sin. I fell back
Hmm.
into the alcoholism. Again, the sin is not the actual drinking; it's the fact that you're causing yourself to be drunk.
Yeah.
You're getting to a point where you're not even able to think consciously
Right.
or deliberately to make the right choices that God is calling you to make, or even hear God's voice because you're so focused on and your mind is so clouded by the chemical or the substance. All right.
Yeah.
So I was restored and I recovered from that, only to just come back to where I was again. It's almost like a cycle.
Hmm.
That's what recovery looks like. That's what the restoration looks like. It's not complete healing. The healing came when just recently when I really sat down and just talk to God about it and addressed it a second time. This time, addressed it through the spiritual lenses, through spiritual perspective. Not to get too deep, we took it to the courts of heaven. I took it to the courts of heaven. I encourage people to definitely do some research on that. I don't want to go take this because that can take this and go month, I mean hours.
Yeah.
Talking about the course of heaven. But I literally used the blood of Jesus and the Holy Spirit to break me from that generational curse. I had to go back in generations to break it. At first, I just said, you know what, I'm just going to pour it out and not do anything tangible to stop from drinking. Right now, I'm actually doing things to help me to heal me. Not drinking at all. Not going to places where I know drinking is going to be there. Now I'm actually healing from it instead of just recovering from it. Right?
Mm.
James Harden just recovered. He didn't heal. And
Yeah.
because he just recovered, he hobbled around and threw up 2 points a game. He wasn't able to perform to his potential or to his God-given gift because he didn't allow himself to heal. When you just recover from something, you're still not being letting God use you because you're still limping around. You're still holding on to that divorce. You're still holding on to that relationship. You're still holding on to that lost job. When you're healed, you're not even thinking about it anymore.
Wow.
It's not even affecting you anymore. You're set free. When you're healed, you have begun and in the process of being set free from physical pain, from infection. Like you're released. Recovery is important. Don't get me wrong.
Yeah.
It's important, but it's not permanent.
Wow.
Healing is essential because it lasts forever.
Wow.
Now watch. This is what it looks like in the Bible. The young lady of 12 years, bleeding in 12 years. And Xavier, you heard me use this story numerous times. I love it, love it, love it, love it, love it.
It's Andre,
But
bro.
I mean, my bad. I don't even know why I was thinking. I don't know what I was thinking. My bad, dog.
Look, I'm
But
answering. Yeah.
you heard me use this before, where the young lady was bleeding for 12 years, and we know what her mindset was.
Yeah.
Her mindset was on that isolation. Her mindset was, I can't believe this is completely having me. No one wants to talk to me. No one wants to be with me. No doctor has the answer to this. Like, what in the world? I'm lost. What do I do? So many negative. You talking about imposter syndrome? Wow. Like you talking
Yeah.
PTSD. You talking so many anxiety on the highest level, clinical depression. So many different emotions that she's feeling at this time for 12 years straight.
Yeah.
Right? But she was able to focus on one thought. If I could just touch God,
Wow. It's
right?
powerful.
If I could just touch God, if I could just touch Jesus, not God, but Jesus, if I could just touch the hem of his garment, I know I'm going to be healed, right?
Yeah.
That started her recovery process. That started her recovery, right? She was able to touch him and she was physically healed, right? Now here's the beautiful part about it, though. She was physically healed, but she wasn't mentally healed.
Oof. Come
You
on.
go back and read that story. God said that now you're healed. Now this is going to last forever.
Yeah.
She was in recovery. It was important for her to touch God, but that wasn't the end. That wasn't the end of the process. She stepped into healing when God looked back and when Jesus, when Jesus looked back and asked her who touched me, and she still stood up scared. This is how you know she wasn't completely all the way healed. Because she still stood up frightened. She still saw herself as if she was still bleeding when she even knew she wasn't bleeding anymore.
Wow. Wow.
And then Jesus looked at her and said, my daughter. It's the only time in the Bible he calls someone his daughter. You
Wow.
are now healed. That's when it was essential. That's when the healing became essential because now it's lasting forever. And when it lasts forever, not only are you physically healed, but now you are mentally healed from all of that trauma that you dealt with.
Wow.
And that's the difference between healing and restoration. There's times where we feel like we're healed because we are taking ourselves out of that relationship. But as soon as you jump into that next relationship, the first thing that comes to your mind is what happened to you in your last relationship. You have brought that baggage with you.
Yeah.
Until you are actually letting every single thing go and your focus is on what God has in front of you, even though you're uncertain of what of God has in front of you, when you're focused on that, that's when you know it's the essential part of it has happened because it's lasting forever.
Bro, that's bro, that's fire. That was so good, man. So good. I could actually relate to that.
Yeah.
Cause I remember when I was sick. I remember being on mandatory bed rest for about 2 years,
Mm-hmm.
and I had an encounter with death. And I remember just praying at the moment, just asking God, like, if you could heal me from this, I promise you, wherever I go, I'll share my testimony.
Mm-hmm.
And God healed me. He provided a surgery, and they removed 7 inches of my small intestines. That's where most of the disease was found. I feel like they truly removed where the root was of it, and I didn't share my testimony.
Yeah.
So it's kind of the same thing as you were talking about with the lady, like mentally. God gave me the healing. I still physically, the body is now recovering. It's in healing.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
But my mind wasn't there because as soon as I saw people and still like, oh my God, you look amazing, I'm still thinking I'm sick. I'm still like,
Yeah.
I'm scared to speak and I'm holding on to the sins and everything. And what it taught me is that sometimes God will deliver you, and then sometimes He will not deliver you and join you.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And so, because I had to get, so the second time I got sick again, I was 80 pounds on August 2020. And so
Mm-hmm.
look at me now, I'm 154 pounds.
Mm.
And I'm
Lord.
now, and now I'm walking with God. You know what I'm saying? Now I'm walking with God more than I was at that time. So it just goes to show you that, like, everything you just said, that's just so
Yeah.
spot on, bro.
Recovery
Um,
recovery says that you're still trying to be someone you used to be. You're
mhm.
still trying to be that person, and God wants us to heal. Healing means that you are stepping into something completely different, someone entirely new. That's how you
Yeah.
know that you are healed. That's how you know you have finished the healing process. You look in the mirror sometimes and say, I don't even recognize myself, but I love it.
Mm,
Now I don't recognize myself and I hate it. I don't
yeah.
recognize myself and I love it. Your perspective is different. Your viewpoint is different. Your behavior is different. The things you're doing, how you conduct yourself, how you maneuver is different compared to what you've done before the pain. You
Yeah.
date differently. You communicate yourself inside a relationship differently. You
Yeah.
interview differently. You
Yeah.
go through pandemics and viruses differently. When you get
Yeah.
sick, you view it differently. You don't fall victim to it. You say, okay, I don't feel comfortable. This is some
Hmm.
discomfort, but I'm not going to allow this stuff to lay me in my bed. I'm going to get up and take a shower.
Yeah.
I'm gonna do
Spot
something to
on.
bring some form of peace. I'm gonna put some clothes on because I know if I get dressed and I feel good, I look good, maybe, just maybe that's gonna make me feel better. Whereas recovery, I just want to recover. So I just want to lay here and wait until I start feeling better. I'm just gonna
Yeah.
lay here and hopefully I can get back to my old ways. Or hopefully I can get back to who I am. And God is like, no, I'm taking you through this because I need you to become something different before so that you can get to that mantle that I have placed in front of you.
Yeah.
Because what I have in front of you, you can't get to it. You're not gonna
Yeah.
be able to hear my instructions with that mindset.
Yeah. That's so true, bro. So true, man. Healing has a language. Healing has
Yeah.
character.
Mm-hmm. It
Healing even
does.
has a posture. You sometimes have to just pretend like, not pretend, but you just have to carry your mind in the sense like, yeah, this hurts, but I'm gonna stand the way I'm supposed to stand. Just
Mm-hmm.
like that push up. It's like that push up mentality. Like, you're in the
Yeah.
gym and you hit that last rep, and you just gotta do two more just to tell yourself that you can do it. It's just like that, man. That's powerful, bro. Um,
Healing is uncomfortable, bro. Healing
yeah.
chooses what nourish you. I can't talk tonight. Instead of what comforts you.
Yeah.
Like healing does that. Like I need that. I don't just want it. I know I need it. I
Hmm.
need to go to
Yeah.
the gym. I don't want to go to the gym. I need to go to the gym because if I don't go to the gym, I know what kind of consequences are going to happen. I need to pick up that toothbrush and brush my teeth because if
Hmm.
I don't, my teeth will fall out and I'm gonna get joked. I need to do that. I
Yeah.
need to start my day with prayer because if I don't, I'm gonna walk into that job that I already don't like, and I'm gonna go off. I'm gonna act out my character. So I
Yeah.
need to start my day off with worship and prayer.
Yeah. Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yep. And so my next question, right? This is gonna be my last question, and then we'll
Okay.
open up for Q&A, guys. Um, do you believe a new identity is a myth?
No, no. You have
Okay.
to have an identity. You need a new identity. You can't be the same person. You cannot be the same person and expect growth, expect blessing. That's like saying
Mm,
that, hey, I'm gonna keep the same mindset that I was at 16, at 26, at 36, at 46,
mm,
and then expect God to continue to talk to you with that childlike mindset. God says you're gonna put away childlike things. So we have to, you have to be willing, open to walking into that new identity.
Mm.
You have to.
So then I have a question then, because I thought differently. Um,
Okay.
I feel like if it's truly restoration and God is restoring you to your previous self,
Mm-hmm.
um, He's bringing us back to who we were before, in a sense. So
Mm-hmm.
how, if it's restoring, then how is it new?
So that's the difference. If you remember what I said, that's the difference.
Mm-hmm.
You're ready to heal. You're ready. No, I'm sorry. You're ready to share your old self and become someone entirely new. You're ready to heal.
Got you. Okay,
Mm-hmm.
I didn't catch
If
that one. Big. Okay.
you're trying to restore yourself to the person you were before you got
Mm-hmm.
hurt, you're still in recovery. You're still in that restoration period. You're restoring yourself. And again, recovery, restoring, whatever word you want to choose, is
Mm-hmm.
important. It's just not permanent.
Yeah.
That's different. It's just not permanent.
Got you. Yeah. Permanent.
Okay. When
Yeah.
you becoming something entirely new, you know you're healed.
Yeah. That's good. That's good. Okay. Definitely. I'm gonna keep that word in mind. Permanent. That's the key.
Permanent.
That's
That's
the goal.
key. Permanent.
That's key. Key.
Healing lasts forever. Permanent. I mean, recovery doesn't. It's not. It's not permanent. It's not gonna last long.
Awesome, bro. Thank you so much, brother. So we're gonna open up for Q&A now. If you guys have any questions, drop them in the chat, or you can unmute yourself, show yourself on camera. Yeah, now would be the best time. Yes, healing lasts forever. That's a whole T-shirt, man.
There you go.
Yeah. Yeah. And we got some T-shirt quotes in this conversation. Somebody said, Shauna said, "How much does our awareness of identity have an impact on our lives?" It's a good question.
How much awareness and identity? If you're
Yeah, how
conscious,
much does our awareness of identity have an impact on our lives? Yeah.
when you when you when you increase your consciousness, your manifestation increases.
Hmm.
When you increase your consciousness, your manifestation increases. The
Hmm.
more and more you know about yourself, the more and more you learn about yourself, the more and more you spend time with yourself, the more and more you love yourself, the more and more you create and open up doors for yourself to walk through. Opportunity doesn't just show up; it shows up because you're doing something. So the more and more you find out about yourself and sit grounded in yourself, which is why singleness is a beautiful thing. It's an amazing time to learn about yourself and learn how to love yourself. Because when you start loving yourself, the doors open up. The most important relationship on this earth after God, it's not a relationship with your parents, not a relationship with your kids, it's not a relationship with your business partners, not your significant other. It's the relationship with yourself. How are you communicating to yourself? Are you telling yourself that you can't do it, or are you telling yourself that you can? It's the relationship you have with yourself. And we know that the most important thing about relationship, the number one key to relationship is communication. So we know communication without definition leads to disappointment. So where's the definition inside your communication when you're talking to yourself? Are you just telling yourself, oh, I can do it? Or you're telling yourself, not only are you telling yourself that you can do it, are you also telling yourself how you can do it? So that you can increase that identity, and then your manifestation will increase. So if you're trying to manifest peace in your life, you got to you got to increase your identity and to figure out who you are and what you are and what you like, so that you can increase that peace. I saw someone that said, "Do you do any online sessions?" Right now, all my sessions are via Zoom. Every single session that I offer right now are via Zoom. I do private sessions. I do have them. Sometimes I post them, sometimes I don't. I do them like 4 sessions a month, 3 sessions a month, 2 sessions a month, or 1 session a month. Because at this time I have not started taking insurance, so that I do make them reasonable. Prices are definitely reasonable.
Hmm. Okay. I had one question. How can for like a marriage couple, right? How can in marriage, like if your spouse is struggling with self identity, how can you help them in that process?
Simple question. I mean, simple answer to that, and that's a great question to ask. Start asking them, "Are you okay?"
Are you
Simple.
what?
Are you okay? Are you
Oh.
okay? Are you all right? How can I support you in this? Because a lot of
Mm,
times people say, "Well, my wife, or my husband are going through some things," and I'm not a counselor. I'm not. I don't know how to counsel them. God's not calling you to counsel them. God is calling you
it's
to
true.
support them.
Yeah.
God is calling you to walk with them. So again, hey, how are you? You can't heal what you don't reveal. So give them space to heal or to reveal it.
Mm,
Give them space, and then be patient with them. Love is patient. Love endures. So show that unconditional love. So if you ask them on Monday and they ain't said nothing, okay, ask them again on Tuesday. Ask them again on Wednesday. Ask them again on Friday. I mean on Thursday and on Friday. Eventually, they're going to say, you know what? I'm not okay. I'm not. And boom, how can I help you then if you're not okay? How can I support you in this? How can I get you to a place where you are okay? Where you are comfortable in your own skin, where you are comfortable with what you like. And then if that's not helping, and if that's not that type of thing is not helping, then dive in your love language. Figure out what their love
mm,
language is. Because maybe
yeah.
they just don't feel comfortable talking, which I hope that's not the case. Maybe they don't feel comfortable talking, but maybe they
Mm,
will feel comfortable talking if you start pouring more into their love bank.
that's good.
You see what
Yeah.
I'm saying? And so it's kind
Yep.
of like you're using the love bank to get them to open back up.
Mm, yeah, that's good. Shauna quoted, "You can't heal what you don't reveal, so give them space to reveal." Yeah, that's good.
You gotta give them
That's
space
good.
to reveal that patience. You gotta endure. You gotta endure. Pray
Mm,
to God for that endurance. Because it's gonna
yeah.
get frustrating when they don't talk back and they're not, especially when they're not saying what you not wanting, what you don't want to hear, or something that you need to hear, and it's you know that it's something in their heart and they just won't say it. You
Mm-hmm.
gotta pray for that endurance. Pray for
Mm,
that kind heart, that kindness, so that they can say,
yeah.
okay, I'm comfortable here. Okay, this is what's going on.
It's so good. So good. So spot on, man. All right. Well, brother, thank you so much. This conversation was dope. Do you have any last word for anybody in regards to healing and restoration before we close out?
Take your time. Take your time. It's going to happen. Trust God in this moment. All right. Trust God in the moment. Here's the thing about the beautiful thing about this healing versus restoration. And you got to recover first before you start healing. You
Hmm.
got to recover first before you start healing. Recover from that thing.
Yep.
Realize, talk to yourself. I just got knocked down. I just got hit. I just got punched in the face. I need to recover from this thing. I need to recover from this thing. And once you recover, remember that it's not permanent. What it is permanent now is now that I recovered and saw my flaws in this thing, saw my own mistakes, saw where I messed up. Now I can start the healing process so that I don't become the same person and make the same mistake. This is what recovery looks like for addicts. They're learning where they make mistakes. They're learning their triggers. They're learning their cravings. And so they're learning themselves, they're learning how to communicate to themselves, learning how to forgive themselves, learning all these interpersonal skills and all of these things. They're learning, they're recovering, right? Once they recover, now they can implement every single thing that they learn to start the healing process so they don't become the same person again. What you do not want to do is be that same person that walked into that last relationship that got you where you are right now. You don't want to be that person. So you want to become out something completely different. Take your time. Don't come off the bench and try to get in the game early because you see people around and you think people need you. No, they don't need you. They need God. And you show them that they need God by showing them what God is doing through you. Not getting out and putting yourself in the game too early. Heal first. Recover, then heal. So you can walk out something completely different and it lasts forever.
So good. So good. Thank you so much, brother. Um, we have somebody raising their hand. I just want to clarify one thing because while you were speaking, it sounded like there was probably gunshots in my background. It was firecrackers. I just wanted to clarify, clarify just in case anybody heard it. I don't live in the hood, praise God. But
Are you okay? Look at us. Are you okay?
yes, I'm definitely okay. Definitely. Terry, you could, yeah, I saw you raise your hand. I don't know if that's the same thing you were going to say, but you can unmute yourself, brother. sister. I don't know.
Hello.
Yo, what's going on, Terry?
Hey, how you doing? Um,
Well,
this is actually my first meeting, and I've been listening to you guys. One thing I wanted to open up about is I went through a lot as a child, and I went through a lot of traumatic experiences with my mom. You know, we was in poverty, and she was going through abusive issues and everything. But what it did to me is like I'm a very peaceful and happy person, but it be moments where I have triggers of aggression because it's like my mom had passed back in 2019, but it's like moments of aggression where I feel like I failed her because I couldn't protect her when I was young, and it kind of bothers me sometimes because I wish I would have got the therapy or the healing that I needed. And I know I haven't healed correctly because those triggers tend to come randomly sometimes. Even when I'm at peace, it's like I'm trying to figure out um why can't I get these memories or these bad situations out of my head? Like they just play or they come randomly. So I just really want to know what ground I need to get on God with to face those traumas and finally let go of them.
Terry, watch this, man. I'm gonna be completely transparent with you. Completely transparent with you, bro. September 2020, lost my mom. Worst 11 days of my life. Lost my best friend. Out of nowhere. This wasn't even COVID related. The worst 11 days, the weekend before those 11 days, my mom was just riding her bike 2.3 miles from my father. And I watched my mom each day get worse and worse and worse. Now watch this. 2 months later, lost my grandmother, my second best friend. 2 months later, lost her mom. In a matter of 2 months, I lost the two women who meant the most to me. So when I hear you, and I'm even more transparent, today, literally today when I was getting off work, I was listening to ET, and he was talking about digging deep and not giving up, never giving up. He was talking about you got 10 seconds left on the clock, keep going, keep playing, strap up, never give up. And I started crying. I started getting mad in my car because I felt like I gave up. I stopped praying when my mom was in the ICU, when she was in the bereavement, the defibrillator, whatever that thing called. When she was all those tubes and stuff in her mouth. I felt like I gave up. Like I felt like like I stopped praying. I stopped talking to God. I allowed people around me to say stuff like she's going off to a better place. And I'm like, nah, y'all don't know the power God has. He can bring her back. And I allow people to put that thought like, nah, man, she's gone. She done. And I'm like, that thing keep going up and down. That means she's not gone. She's still here. And eventually I gave up, and I had to sit with that. Like, God, am I the one? Is she gone because of me? Because I gave up, God? And so here's the thing I want you to start focusing on. And this is one of the things that I focus on. This is one of the reasons why I can sit here in front of you. I can give you two things. But one of the things is suffering brings two things. It brings information and inspiration. Suffering brings information and inspiration. All right. When you suffer, some form of information is going to come from that. Stop focusing on what the negative things are in that situation, and focus on what information God is trying to get out, wants me to get out of this. I'm gonna show you how that works for me and what it did for me. God took me to a story in the book where Jesus told the disciples, "Let's go across the street." Now, when I read the book, when I read the Bible, I have a vivid imagination. So I assume that across the street was amusement parks, 5-star restaurants, and off-white fours, like for retail price. So I assume the disciples were like, "Yo, bet we're going across the lake. We're going over there, across this body of water. We're going over there because Jesus said so." As soon as they got in the boat, a storm came. And this wasn't no ordinary storm. Again, I read it with a vivid imagination. I'm thinking this is Katrina on 3000. Waves and water in the boat, storm, lightning, wind, cows flying across, like everything just flying all over the place. And the disciples did one thing. And God took me straight to this story. Jesus, they went back to the back of the boat, and Jesus was laying down as if it was a sunny day, as if it was like 75 degrees, birds chirping. He's back there on a pillow asleep. And they kept asking him, do you not care that we're about to die? What's going on? What are you doing? He woke up and said, winds be still. This is what Jesus told me. This is what God told me when I read that story, because that's what I felt when I was in that. Do you not care about to die? You took my mom and my grandmother. Do you not care? And here's what he said. Terry, listen to me carefully, dog. If you don't get anything from this, he's still in control. No matter what you've been through, no matter what you're thinking, your traumatic situations, those things that keep replaying in your head, God is still in control. The promise is still the promise. You're still going to be what God has called you to be. This had to happen for you to be that, though. He's still in control. Because when Jesus woke up and said, wind be still, guess what? Everything was still. Everything was calm. And here's another thing. It's the third one he said. You must engage. Allow Jesus to be engaged in your life. Engage Jesus into your life. That's what they did. They engaged Jesus into the moment. They brought Jesus into the moment. If they have never went back there and tried to take on the storm themselves, they would have died. But they stopped doing what they were doing and went straight to the back of the boat. Jesus was waiting on them. He's waiting for you to just look at him and say, I can't do this. He wants you to admit that. Because watch this. What that does is going to increase your consciousness. When you say out loud, God, I can't do this alone. He has not called us to do this thing called life alone. He's going to increase your consciousness, and now your manifestation is going to increase. That peace that you're going after and that you want and that you need is going to be, that door is going to open. That opportunity is going to open because now you're doing something instead of just sitting in the trauma. From now on, I want you to write over get the soap, get a marker or something, and put this over your bathroom sink and put mind over matter. So no matter what thoughts you have, it doesn't matter because my thought is focused on God. I'm focused on God. I'm focused on the only peace that God can provide. It's the only peace that I need. It's the only type of peace there is the one that the God presence can provide. And this is coming from someone who's in your boat, who's in your shoes. The only reason I'm able to sit here and talk to you about this, and X seen this, he's been with me when this actually first started. I was a mess. And the only reason I can actually sit here and talk to you right now is because I remind myself that suffering brings information that's going to inspire me to do something. That the promise is still the promise. He's still in control. And then I need to engage him into my life on every single thing I do. If I do those things and remember those things, I'm going to be okay. And I'm not going to fall apart, even though I have my moments. The moments don't have me because of those things. I hope that helped, bro.
Thank you. I appreciate you. Yes, it did. Thank you.
No doubt, man.
Man, that was so good. That was so good. I just wanted to say one thing because I actually experienced that too. And I still live currently with my mom. I'm just waiting for God to open up these Canada borders so I can be with my wife. But yeah, man. But it just actually, let me be transparent. It actually happened before this. I'm not going to get too deep into the whole spiritual aspect, but you know, there's spirits. Let's just say that, right? And they kind of come against stuff like this when it happens. But I could have chosen a moment to get aggravated because she was trying to disrupt this conversation from happening tonight. But my mentor taught me something. She said, you can't cast out a storm that comes against you if you have one in you. And I literally had to do a whole healing tour thing. I went out to the beach, and crazy testimony, like everything that Jeff just talked about really manifested in real life. Like I've experienced the supernatural where I got baptized again, rededicating my life to Christ just because I feel like I needed to do a baptism again. And there was an actual storm that came on the beach after I left the town. Like these stuff are really real. And I'm not trying to scare nobody, but like just, you know, pray to God about it, go read your Bible, but these stuff are really real. And yeah, I just wanted to share that, bro. I'm not trying to go into a whole thing, but just know that you can't cast out a storm that comes against you if you have one in you. So let go of whatever it is, and letting go is just to stop the feeding, which is your thinking. So the more you focus, so I have a thing I always say, like where your focus is positioned, so will be your condition. Like,
That's good.
huh?
I said that's good. I like that. That was good.
Yeah. Yeah, and so I had to change my focus. I'm like, man, I can't keep focusing on my mom. I can't keep focusing on this anger, this unforgiveness, this bitterness, this resentment. Let me focus on where my, like what Jeff was saying earlier, where the peace is at. So find where your peace is, and God will do. I promise you, it's not gunshots. God will do. God will do the rest. I don't know if you guys heard that, but yeah. But yeah, man, that's all I have for tonight. Guys, this was an incredible conversation. What an amazing way to end the series. Terry, I'm gonna send you this replay before I actually release it out to the public, just so you can have the notes, because I know that you really, really need it. Other than that, Jeff, do you still have a little bit more time to recap on IG, or you gotta go?
Yeah, I can do that. I got a few more time. I'm hungry, but I'm good. I got you.
You can eat with us on the live, man. I don't know.
No, I got you, dog. Let's do it.
Okay, all right. Appreciate you, bro. All right, yeah, so we're going to recap on IG. I'm going to put my Instagram handle in here. And yeah, I'm going to see you guys there. Just thank you guys for joining. This was Healing Through Transparency. You guys have a blessed night.